Oh, that's a lovely thing to happen. They have their first baby together, and then he gets the Player of the Match award, scores the winning goal against Chelsea, and you can see he's just floating at the moment, isn't he?
He is. He called Pat lad.
Yeah.
That's
is it lad or lad?
A bit of both, yeah.
Okay.
So that's the big terminology we use in the city. So it shows that they get on well. But he was brilliant. He was outstanding, and he's still at that stage where he's still not ever really made himself first choice, where he knows he's playing. You've got McAllister and Gravenberch who are outstanding, so it's going to be tough for him. But I mean, what a performance that was! And you think of the quality on the pitch, you think of the money that's been spent on the pitch, and for a local lad to put a performance in like that was outstanding.
What does he need to do to get a role in this team week in, week out?
I think he's got to keep playing like that, at the highest level. He's up against, as I said, two top players in there, but he's going to get plenty of games. Liverpool will play 50, 60 games every season. And he's making himself on performances like that, because I keep thinking at the back of my head, will Arne Slot go back in for Zubimendi in January? When you see performances like that, you're thinking, no. Over the last few weeks, I've thought maybe Liverpool could still do it in midfield. But when you've got someone like Curtis Jones and then you've got those three battling for two positions, that's a great quality. But when you see him at sort of both ends of the pitch, Studge, I mean, you know him as well, a little bit training with him and playing with him.
Yeah, played with him for a year or 2 years when he first came into the first team. And he's always had the ability, always. It was a case of, can he bring it all together? Can he develop into becoming a top-class centre midfielder? And right now, the things he's doing, the confidence he's playing with, he's gained experience over the years. He came into the probably 4 or 5 seasons ago, and now you look at him now, how he's even speaking. You can see he's grown up a lot. And technically, he kept Cole Palmer quiet today as well, which is, we gave Cole Palmer the talk today, but you see Curtis today and playing on that side of the pitch. He's come off the football pitch with a goal and performed top class.
In training, what did you see from his, what was his main attributes? Because he's sort of in this team, and sometimes team attacking, sometimes team defending. He's sort of like box
what he's
to box.
improved on is his pressing. That's what he's improved on. The technical ability has always been there. 1v1s, step-overs, flicks around the corners, balls in behind. Like, he's got the lot. It was the defensive side of the game that was the concern. And with a manager like Jurgen Klopp, the onus was on the midfielders to run around and press. You see, with Arne Slot now, he's coming and he said, you know what, I'm going to put you in a number 10, like against Crystal Palace, he was playing number 10. This week, OK, we're going to have you on the left, you're going to go up against your former under-21s teammate, you got familiarity there, you kept him quiet today, so you're seeing him now, the confidence he's playing with. Top draw. I
think what you mentioned there, I think when we talk about a modern midfield player, the terminology, is he a 6, is he an 8, is he a 10? That was almost a throwback to when I started watching football and we just called someone a midfield player. Whether you were Brian Robson, you were Steve McMahon for Liverpool, you were Peter Reid for Everton, it was like you had to defend and you had to also get forward. And that's the type of performance we saw today. He was a little bit of everything, doing a defensive job on Cole Palmer, getting into the box, getting a goal, getting a penalty. It was.
Can that go against you, though? Managers now, with the modern game, they want systems.
Yeah.
They want someone in a holding mid, they want a number 8, they want a number 10. At times, because he's good at both, but probably not the best at either. Will that go against him, would you say?
No, I think what we saw him to do today, I'd be very surprised if that wasn't the message from the manager, I want you to get forward. To see him, maybe he'd end up there once, but he was consistently getting forward. As I said, the two should have had another penalty for my mind. He's getting a goal. I think there was something Liverpool saw, maybe in Chelsea and Arne Slot, where you get forward, you can cause them real problems, and that's what he did.
A relaxed, jovial and smiling Arne Slot as well. He might be. One defeat for Liverpool so far this season. Everything else has been a victory. They've got the meanest defence in the Premier League. They conceded only 3 goals in their opening 8 games, and they've won all but one of them, and that was that Nottingham Forest game which happened here at Anfield after the last international break. So not only have they beaten Chelsea today, but they've done it after an international break as well. And he was very relaxed, Daniel. Do you think that for the players, that change from Jurgen Klopp, who, yes, was very outgoing and was a big hugger, but also had an intensity about him, and it's not about criticising one way or the other, but just the change?
I think it's refreshing. I'm not going to say Arne Slot's not demanding, but I think everybody knows how demanding Jurgen was, both on the pitch and off the pitch. I think Kurt said being at home the day before the game is a different mindset for players, and they can feel more relaxed just being at home sometimes. So I think, all in all, the players, of course, are buying into the manager. I think his personality comes across very well. and clearly the players are performing under him. So whatever he's doing behind the scenes is clearly working, and long may it continue for him.
He's not as emotional as Klopp, but he got wrapped up in the game today, didn't he? Basically, that's what I'm talking about, the first sort of Anfield atmosphere he's been involved in. And, you know, Liverpool were under pressure, under the cosh. And you see his reaction, I think, when Nunes maybe got a foul given against him. You could see he just got himself sort of wrapped up and maybe showed little elements there of Jurgen Klopp. But he's a different manager. And I think the thing that Liverpool supporters enjoy, I think, at the moment, is the fact that he's not trying to be something else or play up to any. You know, he's being himself and he's made a brilliant start.
It's worked so well, and I think if you'd looked at the fixture list at the start of the season and thought, get to this point, coming up to the start of November, and Liverpool have lost one of their games across all competitions, you'd have taken that, wouldn't you?
Oh, of course. And it's interesting coming into this game. Liverpool and Chelsea to a certain extent. Chelsea played City first game, but since then he's been on a decent run. Liverpool have obviously had a great start to the season. People say they haven't played anyone, and yeah, that's right. You know, Liverpool have come out on top tonight, but a big thing of being successful is winning the games you're supposed to win. That takes you a long way in a football season. Now, you look at Man City last season, they didn't beat Liverpool or Arsenal. They still won the league because they won the games they were supposed to win. So if you do that, whether you're Chelsea, Liverpool or anybody else, you're going to have a very good season. It becomes a great season then if you start taking points off, you know, of your rivals. And I agree with what the manager said there, that I do think Chelsea will be there or thereabouts in terms of certainly top four. I thought they put on a pretty good display here today.
Yeah. And you said, Micah, at the final whistle, that this was the game that made you think Liverpool are serious challenges again this season. It's always hard to prejudge with a new manager.
I think it's always difficult, and we were sort of looking at systems and what the manager's going to bring. I think he's brought a little bit of calmness. I think defensively, Liverpool look a lot more solid. I think at times under Klopp, which the football he played was amazing to watch. But as a defender, sometimes playing in that system could be exposed a little bit. I think the timing in which the defenders drop back and push up is a lot more balanced. And I think, you know, you've always got players at the top of the pitch who can win you games. So it's what you can do defensively. And that's why I believe the challenges this season.
Let's look at the penalty, the one that was given, because there's another penalty incident that both Curtis Jones and Arne Slot talked about. This one was given. Again, it was Curtis Jones who was involved in it.
Yeah, it was, and it comes from direct play. Liverpool got a lot of joy from that again, but you just see Curtis Jones' position there, initially getting on the second ball, so he's gone from one end of the pitch to the other, and he keeps going. And Colwell just, listen, he thinks the ball's there, he has a little swipe at it. But again, that little comes from Curtis Jones getting beyond the fizz, beyond Salah, beyond Jota, and that's where the penalty comes from. And obviously we'll see the reaction from Levi now, but when he looks back at it, he'll know it was a penalty. We see this reaction now.
And Curtis Jones says, look, I don't dive, but I felt contact and I went down. Fair? Do you think, Daniel?
For me, if I'm getting contact, and I think as attacking players, when you get contact in the box, you go down because you know you have an opportunity to take a penalty. And you see here Mo Salah, I love this angle from the striker's perspective. Fantastic penalty. He was, you know, did what he wanted.
Any doubts before he
No, definitely not. He's cool as you like. Of course, he's missed penalties, but you're not scared to miss. I think that's what I love about Salah.
And he's moved from 10th up to joint 9th in terms of all-time Premier League goal scorers. And he's starting to just creep in. I mean, the 200 is looking a little bit kind of hard to reach, but you're looking at the names above him, and he's getting closer.
Well, he'll have an eye on Thierry Henry and Frank Lampard by the end of this season, I would imagine. And I think stats like this are one of the biggest reasons why Mo Salah will sign a new contract at Liverpool. Of course, they'll be talking about money and length of contract, but I think these are the things that really get the juices flowing for Mo Salah. He breaks all the records at Liverpool, but getting as far as he can up those lists, and you know, whether it's that list or, you know, different ones, I think that's a big part of sort of his focus as a player. I'm not saying he's selfish. He's obviously a great team player.
But if you are a striker, individual records are kind of partly what you're remembered for outside of trophies.
I think anyone who's an attacker who wants to be known as one of the best or the best, you have to be obsessed with things like that, because, you know, your job is to score, your job is to help your team win. And I think for him, it's now to the point of legacy. And it's like, how can I add to my legacy? Come on, he's going to go down as arguably the best. top 3 for sure, maybe in terms of Liverpool's history. Carragher, you can let me know what you think of that. But, you know, for me, I think he's going to add to his legacy, and that's what he's... Wants to win trophies, of course, but I think as a human, I've seen him grow from... And Michael would say maybe from Fiorentina what his mindset was. But when I met him at Liverpool, I don't think he thought he would be where he is today. But I think as time's gone on, he's had that belief, his belief's grown and grown and grown to the point where now I think when he gets on the pitch, how he performs, it's like I'm untouchable. And I think, for me, like looking at Thierry and those types of guys, players he's idolised as well, I do believe he's got an eye on them thinking, you know what, if I can go down as having more goals than someone like a Thierry Henry, come on, man. Like,
I mean,
and we look at him as the GOAT.
I mean, the big debate is Dalglish Gerrard, isn't it? I mean, Kelly will go one way, I'll go the other.
In what order?
Exactly.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm working on this side. I have no preference, but officially anyway.
I just don't know if we can get that list back up, because I think what's so...
Your wishes are commands.
Yeah,
anything for you, Micah.
Just so remarkable from the days at Fiorentina. Obviously, didn't work out for him at Chelsea. But if you look at what the top 5 there, Shearer, Kane, Rooney, Cole, strikers, Aguero, Lampard, we know the third man run, Thierry Henry is one of the best.
He's the only winger on the list.
And now with the different systems, for a right-sided forward to score that many goals, it just shows you what a machine he is. And at times, yeah, he can give away the ball sloppily and all that, but he's just so consistent in front of goal, and that sets him apart from some of the players in his position.
Also, you mentioned that you got Frank Lampard in midfield. That's unbelievable. He's about to goals, but he's not an out-and-out striker at times. He does have to get back and help the full-back. So for a wide striker, that's unbelievable.
He might have gone clear of Jermaine Defoe had he had another penalty. You've had a little bit of time to think since half-time, and now you think this is a penalty.
No, I just think when the referee... If you look at this from the referee's angle, it looks 100% the penalty. From this angle, you think, yeah, certain penalty. So, yeah, the referee gives it. Now, from this angle, which, VAR looked at all the angles, I'd look at that and say, that for me can go either way, because it looks like he's got a lot of the ball. But then there's another angle from behind the goal, and that one's... It doesn't look to me like he gets enough. And considering the referee's given the penalty, now that looks like it just goes under his... he touches it slightly on his calf, and to then take Curtis Jones out like that, and again, I go back to... that was my game, making tackles. And you used to say years ago, you're playing, I won the ball, ref. Now, you'd clip the ball, and then you just take someone out. But you say, I won the ball first. Those days are well gone. You can't get away with just getting the ball first. And then to take Curtis Jones out the way he did. And listen, I understand he's got nowhere else to go. But he just comes in, just takes him out. And the fact the referee gave it, I'm very surprised they overturned. I think it should have been a penalty. Yeah,
the question is whether or not it was a big enough mistake to overturn, looking at the VAR monitor.
Yeah, because there'll be 50-50 debate. I think, obviously, Chelsea fans and then Liverpool fans will think differently. I agree with Carragher. I don't think it's...
Carragher?
When did you fall out?
Jamie. I agree. I don't think it's a howler. So I think it should have been given. But you can see from a Chelsea's point of view, Sanchez, there is contact on the ball. He has touched him afterwards, but that is, for me, just the momentum of the way he sort of protected himself, Curtis Jones, and sort of was jumping over the goalkeeper. So, of course, he's going to flip over in that way. See there, that little jump just to get himself out of the way. So I can see it from both sides, but I was surprised the referee overturned it.
The fact I'm saying he doesn't get enough of the ball keeps going past him. If the ball goes the other way,
yeah, but
and Curtis Jones goes front, okay, he's won a big bit of the ball. The ball's gone back that way. The ball's still actually going towards the goal. So that tells you he didn't get a big enough a touch.
Split debate, this, I think.
OK. Let's leave it at that then. Let's talk about Nicholas Jackson, who split opinion himself in the early days at Chelsea. Is he really starting to find his rhythm now, Daniel?
He is, and he's pivotal to this system that the manager's playing, because he's very good going into the false nine positions as well as making runs in behind. And his finishing, look, at the end of the day, this is a fantastic finish, calm in front of goal, knows where he's going to put it. He takes 3 touches. This is the key as well. When you're running through on goal, know what you're trying to do. I see sometimes with Nicholas Jackson, sometimes he's running through and he's not sure. 1, 2, 3, bang. And that's what you want to be in those positions. You don't be messing around, taking too many touches. Times the run perfect. The pass from Caicedo as well, we have to give him credit for the way to pass. But the finish for me, really, really nice.
Did he score 14 last year in the Premier League? So I think about his first season in the Premier League. It's still good numbers for a team that was not competing for really top four at the time.
Yep.
So I understand what you mean about him being a bit more controlled in front of goal. But his record this season and the last put them together.
What I'm saying is, I agree with you. I'm not saying... I look at Nicholas Jackson and I say, if we're judging a player on just goals in open play, Nicholas Jackson is one of the best strikers in the Premier League. But once you start adding in penalties and things like that, and then guys are getting 19, 20, 21, 22, you start to think, oh, is this guy... We see a lot of chances that he gets, and he can be erratic at times, but what he's got, I don't think you can teach. That's the hard part about him. It's because it's frustrating when you look at him, you think, sometimes going through, he's calm as you like, and I've seen him outside the foot goal he scored a few weeks ago, and you think, oh, and then sometimes you're like, he's snatching, and you think, is he going to develop? But you probably don't need to. That's the thing.
Can you improve that on the training ground, or is that almost like a natural instinct that you buy the goal?
I think you can, but it's doing the actions at match pace, keeping the numbers down. So say, OK, I'm going to do 5 of them at match pace today, match speed. The positions that I know I'm going to take up. I know that the midfielder or Cole Palmer usually goes there and he plays the ball there. Coach, can you stand there and just play that ball there, and I'm going to make the run I like to make. And you do that 5 times. Then the next day or 2 days after, you go in another position. The problem is so many games. Like... how they're managing the numbers on the training pitch and that. So can you really work on your craft and try and improve when the coaches are on the sideline saying, you've done too many sprints today, you've probably done a bit too much high intensity accelerations, decels.
You said before the show that, before the game, that you felt Chelsea were 12 months away from challenging. For the title. And when you think of the real big positions that stand out, it's probably goalkeeper. And a lot of people would say centre forward. Do you think there's enough there with him that you wouldn't need to go into the market and get someone else? Do you think he can develop and become that man?
See, I had this question last year, and at that time I thought no, but I'm analysing him on open play. I'm not analysing him on saying statistics, OK, cool, I don't think he's devastating in front of goal, I don't, but I think he's got what it takes to get there. He just needs to hone his craft more. And when you're in the spotlight, playing number 9 at a top club, at any top club, you are judged because you're thinking Didier, Anelka, Shevchenko, the Crespos of this world, these players who have played at Chelsea, Gianfranco Zola, you're judging him against those top Chelsea strikers, and then you're also judging him against the likes of Haaland and these players. But let's not forget, players like Haaland miss chances often as well. So his
shot conversion's gone up though this year. It was 17 last season. It's gone up to 24% this season.
I think we've maybe been a little bit critical, and I've been part of it as well, because sometimes I'm judging him and thinking, I want to see the finished article. But if I judge myself at that age, being transparent, I would say I was snatching chances. You know, I think a lot of strikers who are honing their craft on the big stage because they want to do well.
I think there's a lot of strikers like that. I think of actually Højlund at Manchester United scored a great goal yesterday. So when they first come in, you're thinking, are they good enough for Man United? Is he good enough for Chelsea? Is Núñez good enough for Liverpool? I thought Núñez was outstanding when he came on today. Whether he'll ever get there in terms of finishing, I'm not quite sure. But when they go in at a top club, we want the finished article, don't we? Because we think, is this the man to take someone to the Premier League or the Champions League? And maybe, as you're right, we've probably just got to let them develop and give them a little bit more time, because it's not their fault if a big club brings them in. They maybe just still do need time to develop.
And you know the other thing as well, when you look at teams today are collectively trying to score goals. Arsenal spread the goals across the pitch. You got Havertz maybe getting 10 to 15 goals. Saka, Martinelli's going to pitch in goals from midfield. You look at Manchester City is probably the only team which is saying, we're feeding our man. And he's going to be the focal point for our team, scoring goals. You look at Liverpool, you got Mohamed Salah. Diaz is scoring goals this year. There's goals from different parts of the pitch. Jota. Then you go to every team right now outside of Manchester City, for me, they don't play just for the centre forward. It's like, we're going to get goals everywhere, and there's many ways to win matches. I don't think today it's more about the system and how can we get into the positions where the conversion percentage is high versus saying, go out there, take 2 guys on and bang it in the back of the net. Like, those types of goals are rare now, because it's more about how do we get the players in positions to be effective.
But in order for Jackson to continue to improve his strike rate, what you're saying is repetition is going to lead to consistency.
Repetition for me, and I think, as I said, I feel as if we're judging him critically because we're used to teams paying big money, getting a finished article in, and we're seeing world-class players walking out, and we're thinking, but the model's changed. The way in which teams are winning games has changed, and I just think if he's given time, he will improve. But I do believe they will sign a striker, though. I do believe that.
I think, I mean, you know better than me, I think when you maybe go back 10, 15 years, we talk about the great strikers of the world, even for sort of like Real Madrid, Barcelona, the Milans. I think the level of strikers dropped, or maybe it's different, and at times that striker's almost got to sacrifice himself for the team. So there's so many teams in the Premier League will say they need a striker, and you say, who? Yeah. They're not there. There's not what we sort of saw maybe 15, 20 years ago, where it felt like every top team had like a world-class striker.
Yeah, it's
systems have changed.
Yeah, systems have changed. It's a different era now. There's more players wide strikers, players. There's more false nines. We talked about Havertz earlier on. You know,
even Haaland's being asked to do more off the ball and then to kind of drag defenders out of position.
It's a different time. That's all. Like, the centre forwards that I grew up watching, you know, R9s, Thierry. Honestly, I could probably name 20 to 25 guys that I've analysed.
But you know, but I think you just want some in the Premier League. You know, in the past we had strikers who everyone sort of said they're world class. There's very few teams, probably in the Premier League, certainly top teams, who feel like their centre forward guy is done and dusted, that they're not quite looking for something else. There's always sort of that little grey area at the moment.
And Harry Kane's gone off to the Bundesliga.
Hat-trick yesterday.
Yeah, talking about spreading the goals out, Curtis Jones. I mean, we talked about what a great performance it was from him. And he managed to cap it all off with the winning goal in there.
Yeah, but it's so poor from Chelsea's point. I think Reece James is really poor here. I mean, you just see him float into that position. He just ambles in there in a way, really.
Is it rustiness, Jamie, from being out for nearly a year?
I don't think it is. I mean, listen, you can see him, he's ambling across. He tries to play, I mean, it's 2 yards onside, and he's got his hand up at the back post. It's lazy defending. Now, you could give him a little, because of what you said, OK, fair enough, maybe he's a little bit tired. And it is that. I also think the goalkeeper is so poor. To think the goalkeeper is trying to make a challenge 2 yards out from his goal, it's a poor touch from Curtis Jones, really. He's at the full stretch, so Reece James hasn't done great, and this is really poor from the goalkeeper. Chelsea need a goalkeeper if they are going to do what Daniel mentioned in terms of challenging for next season.
Is he maybe thinking, Sanchez, about the penalty that nearly was? In the one that you think should have been a penalty?
Well, there he was involved in that. It was clumsy, wasn't he? He comes flying out, he gets away with one. But that one there, as soon as Curtis Jones makes a poor touch, he's got to be on top of him. He's got to go and win that ball.
Can I ask you a question, Micah?
Yeah.
Defensively, right? I don't know if we can go back, right? But we're talking about a team that's defending. They seem as if they're defending the edge of the box here, to me. And we talked about Kurt adding more runs into the box. I wonder if that was something that was identified before, that Chelsea maybe defend the edge of the box, similar to how City did back in the days. Remember when you used to do, like, you'd hold the line on the edge of the... Yeah. So I wonder if that's something, because it seems as if they're all holding their line on the edge of the box. Look at the centre-halves. Yeah. They're holding that line like, you're not going to... Behind me, we're safe as houses.
Yeah,
Reece James
fine,
on the line.
But sometimes in these situations, you have someone who's a little bit deeper. And I think there, if you're not in line with the rest of your teammates, then you have to go with the runner.
Right.
I mean, if you hold that picture there, I mean, we talk about Reece James, sorry. We criticise officials a lot. The official here, if you just watch his actual stance there, because he doesn't want to get ahead of the ball or the last man, and he puts the brakes on the linesman here to make sure he's in the line, Reece James. So this is a brilliant decision from him, and just shows you obviously what goes into it. But Reece James there, I mean, it's poor. But listen, Curtis Jones does brilliant, and they just didn't hold the lead long enough, Chelsea. I think there was obviously a couple of minutes between it, and it hadn't probably really sunk in that they were back into the game, and then Liverpool find themselves 2-1 up. But the goalkeeper's got to do so much better than that.
In terms of that Chelsea defensive performance, if you were coming up, or defensive performance in terms of that goal, Daniel, if you were in that position, are you thinking to yourself, Sanchez might be a bit hesitant here? Because, I mean, is that level of detail going through your head?
Not really, no. But what I would say is I think Kurt, he made the goal by the touch. And I think sometimes players don't really have the ability to... A ball's coming, getting fizzed across, and to take the touch on your weaker foot there. I know Premier League players and whatnot, but still...
At the speed.
To take that touch on your weaker foot and to go to the other side of the goalkeeper, I mean, it's one action, and then the right foot to come across and just guide it in the opposite corner. I have to give him credit. The touch for me, I agree with Carragher, the goalkeeper could do more and maybe smother him a bit more, but... how Kurt dealt with that, you have to give him a lot of credit, man.
In the goalkeeper's defence, I think maybe he thinks he's going to hit it first time, and then he sort of hesitates and then doesn't go out. I think in the game, he didn't have the greatest games today, but just if you look at the angle, he sort of goes back, he's off balance, and then by the time he tries to go, it's just a little bit too late.
But what I don't like is that when he goes, he's turning his face. It's almost like he's scared of getting hit by the ball. You go back to Peter Schmeichel, when he'd come out and he'd just make himself as big as possible. He comes out to Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones should be absolutely terrified that a keeper's coming towards me. 6'4", he's coming on top of him. He's like scared of the ball on Curtis Jones, and he's turning his head away. You've got to get there and hopefully it hits you in the face and keep it out. But, I mean, we talk about Chelsea and probably the money they've spent and where they still need things. I mean... they need a new goalkeeper if they're going to get back to where they want to be.
Jamie, just to pick up on Enzo Maresca's comment that today's game doesn't define where they are, is that true of the result, but maybe not of the performance? Maybe the performance tells us more about where they are.
I thought they were excellent, and when managers come up against each other, they're trying to do something a little bit different to maybe throw the opposition's setup up, and they definitely done that in terms of the position of Gusto starting at left back. Naturally, you think, oh, he's coming in to stop Mo Salah because he's right-footed. Mo Salah likes to come inside on his left foot, but he was almost playing in a number 10 position, similar to Cole Palmer, who was slightly on the other side. So they had 4 men in midfield against Liverpool's 3, and they caused Liverpool real problems. And I said at half-time, Arne Slot's going to have to do something different. I don't think he did, but maybe they got to grips with it a little bit better. But in terms of controlling the game, Chelsea were by far the better team here. But what let them down was to go back to the goalkeeper. If they got a better goalkeeper, the Curtis Jones second goal, maybe the game finishes 1-1. Who knows what would happen after that? But the thing that Chelsea probably didn't do enough of second half with all the ball he had was create chances. And Kelleher, for the main in the game, I don't think he made too many saves. But in terms of controlling the game and pushing Liverpool back, Liverpool was sort of hanging on at times in the second half and slowing the game down with 2-1 to try and get to the final whistle.
I agree with that, but I think in terms of what Liverpool did to sort of nullify that threat, Cole Palmer, who we talked about before the game, he was at times non-existent. So in terms of the tactical sort of building up with the 3 and then 2 midfield, the 4, and then Jackson up front, Cole Palmer couldn't really get involved in the game. He was sort of a decoy at times. He was coming into number 6 position just to get on the ball. But in terms of going forward, they didn't manage to get the star player involved in the game.
Yeah, the spaces weren't on that side. In the first half, you saw Lavia picking the ball up and he was playing nice balls, breaking the lines into Gusto, into Sancho on the left. And that was how they were penetrating Liverpool's press. But in the second half, obviously, Enzo comes on. They become a bit more attack-minded, I would say, with Enzo. And then in turn, they maybe lost that stability in terms of the movements and the way in which they progressed the ball forward.
But when you've got someone like Cole Palmer, he's going to be a big focus of Liverpool before the game. So Curtis Jones is all over that tackling. Maybe at times Andy Robertson's tucking him. So you think how narrow Liverpool were at times. And that meant there was space on the outside. So even though we'll say Cole Palmer wasn't at his best, Liverpool gave up a lot of space out wide. So Sancho in the first half, Madueke as well. Neto, when he came out, had so much time on the ball to run at the fullbacks because Liverpool had to keep it tight in midfield. And the one who was getting the time in midfield, as you mentioned, was Lavia, but also Gusto was picking the ball up. You're not going to leave Cole Palmer in a lot of space, but the fact that he put Gusto there surprised Liverpool, and that's why I said for the main, they controlled the game.
And Chelsea came up against a Liverpool side who knew they had to win to go back to the top of the table. And that's because earlier on Super Sunday, we saw Manchester City take all 3 points. Well, Gary O'Neill talked about the incident around the goal, and he said, I'm sure PGMOL will tell us it was absolutely right and there's nothing to apologise for. So let's go through what PGMOL's point of view around this goal is. So it comes very late in the game, 95 minutes. Manchester City, as you saw, get the corner. Obviously, you can't be offside from a corner. So at that stage, when Bernardo Silva is actually standing on the goalkeeper, Bernd Leno, he is, yes, jostling with him. Jose Sarr, sorry. When he is jostling him on the line, he can't physically be offside in that situation. Yeah. So it's the moment John Stones heads the ball that a player can become offside. And at that point, Bernardo Silva is judged not to be impeding his line of sight.
Yeah, it's a goal.
Thoughts?
Yeah, it's a goal. I wish it wasn't for obvious reasons, but no, it's he's in there. He's just getting involved with them, and he's not in the line of vision of the goalkeeper. Maybe you can talk like a little nudge, but I think the goalkeeper's set. He moves him off, and he's set now just before he heads it. And it just goes above him. Great teams score late goals, and I understand from Wolves' point of view to be very frustrating. You're trying to cling on to something because you've took probably arguably one of the best teams in the world right to the sort of final kick of the game. But if that's my team and I'm Manchester City, I'd want to go for that. I think it was right that it was given.
Thoughts?
No, agreed. I think you've summed it up pretty well. You explained it really well, Kels. The only thing I would say from Wolves' point of view, you've said the keeper Sarr set there. I don't know if I agree with if he's set, but when he headed it, he's not sort of interfering, so goal given.
That was your job, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was my job, blocking the goalkeeper, and he played it very well. I think the only way, looking at it now, that goal's overturned is if the header goes the side Bernardo's on.
Yeah.
Because it's on the other side of the goalkeeper, it gives them a reason to say, well, he's not impeding his vision, he's not involved in maybe the way he's going to dive, it goes above him. If it goes Bernardo's side, it would have been a much tougher decision to make.
But it does mean that the title race is very... Look, I know it's only the end of October, middle of October, really, but it is so exciting in terms of the title race. With Arsenal dropping points yesterday, Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal still looking like they are going to be the main challengers again this season, and they're very nicely placed.
Who's your pick? Sturridge, who did you pick at the start of the season?
I didn't make one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Do you want to make one now?
See, this is what I'm saying. You're trying to put me on... Right now, I think it'd be very tough for me to not think Liverpool could continue this on. I think if Manchester City can win 5 in a row, so I'm just going to go with Liverpool because I think what they're doing right now is playing magnificent football, and
Daniel, Micah, Jamie, thank you very much for your time this evening, and thank you to you for watching. See you next time.